guys, and welcome to the Supercoach Swordplay channel. You're on with me, Janet. Head into a live stream for Game Day Squad Round 17 for NBL. So I'll move on to Boz. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, going well, Janet. Thanks for having me once again. It feels like I've been neglecting the NBL GDS podcast the last couple of weeks and in favour of the NBA one. But yeah, super happy to come back. And I think I've come back at a really good time. It's the gather round of the NBL this week, as they call it. Hoop time, I think they call it, in Perth. So super excited to kind of have a look at the games that they're going to be doing up in Perth.
And what games are you planning to go to?
I won't be going to any because I live in Melbourne. You know what? Funnily enough, I did look into going, but there's a few things going on around the house that I have to finish with my old man before he goes back to work. So had to postpone the Perth trip maybe till next year. But I'll be watching intently probably most of the games as they're at a really favourable time, 9:30 p.m. most nights.
That's always the way, isn't it? Boz and Burns, how are you doing, mate? You made it the viewers won't know this, but Burns, he jumped on 2 minutes before the live stream. So that's dedication right there. How you go, mate?
I'm good. As I said to the fellas when I jumped in, I almost forgot we even do an NBL podcast, and I checked X literally 5 minutes ago and just realized we were about to go live. So jumped on in. I know Boz is doing his deck because I tuned into last night's NBA, even though I didn't get in myself. Unfortunately, had other commitments that I keep making things on Mondays. I'm terrible at doing it and then remembering I've actually got a podcast on Monday. I'm so sorry. But yeah, awesome to be here. And I'm glad to finally be back on a podcast.
Good to have you, Burnsy. And hello to all our viewers that are watching this live as well. If you have any questions, if you have anything you want to comment, please feel free to comment on YouTube and we'll get right onto your comments as well. We'll go straight into the results then. I know, Boz, you had a good week. So did I, Burnsy. We'll chat on how you went as well, mate. Boz, do you just want to go through your results for the week?
Yeah, sure. So Starter and Classic weren't too good. So I keep not playing Nathan Sobey. As we all know, I don't really like him, but it's continually biting me in the backside. So Starter, I was out at 62nd, which is just pathetic. In Classic, I was out at 42nd, which again, not great. But Contender had some really good results. Finished 5th, only 13 points away. I was first leading into the Sunday games. I think I only played a bronze PJC, so I think those that had a really good second game from PJC that had his silver, maybe even his gold card in their squad probably jumped me from there. But super happy coming 5th in Contender, and it puts me in a pretty good stead overall in most of the competitions.
Love to hear that, mate. Yeah, you're smashing it across the board. Burnsy, how did you go, mate?
Oh, look, it was a pretty poor week for me overall. I've had some pretty good weeks, but yeah, it was poor. I was good enough to run Lopez in all my competitions, and he went really gangbusters this week, so that was awesome. But just not paying enough attention, I think. And, I had Harrison in one of my squads, which, obviously didn't even play, so that didn't help at all. And I think I just got the power forwards wrong a bit. Ran like John Brown and Warningberg, who just didn't really perform. I think I ran someone else in one of these other matchups, didn't perform either, and I think that's where I lost a lot of my points, unfortunately.
Yeah, so unfortunate there, Burnsy. I know your pain with Wardenberg. Injured again. It just sucks that he's such a talented player, but he just can't stay healthy. And it's just the moment, I think he was on 32 midway through the third, and just when he did that ankle, you're just like, oh, damn, that's crazy. But for me, we'll go to DR actually. So DR finished 9th in the starter E's. I think DR is actually doing very well seasonally as well. I'll just bring it up. He's coming 9th overall in the starter, sorry. So he's well and truly in with the fight for the top spot there. Across the board in Contender this week, finished 7th. So just behind you, Boz, in the Contender, and finished 9th in the Classic. So now sitting in 3rd overall in Contender and 4th overall in Classic. It's a bit scary being 4th overall in Classic with all the big guns that are in there, but hanging on. So hopefully we can keep going, especially heading into the round this week as well, where all the teams play singles. So a lot of players that we might have to take a risk on, just knowing that they only have one game this round, but we'll see how we go. We'll jump on into the results from this week. And Boz, I guess we had a fair few quality games throughout the round. I think I'll start off by talking about the Sem Hawks game, because I know that Nathan Sobey got very fired up in this game, watching it near the end of it. He got into basically all of the Hawks players, and he just couldn't be stopped. So the question to you is, did you see enough from Nathan Sobey to suggest that he's a player that we just have to lock in moving forward?
Yes, and I don't think I'll ever make that mistake again moving forward. He is clear cut now the second best shooting guard in GDS. I mean, Will Hickey's moved to the bench. I don't know why, and it's crazy to me that he's playing off the bench and pretty much looks a shell of himself from what he did when he first came back from injury. Javon Freeman-Liberty probably won't play in the NBL ever again. Here I was spending all my GDS credit on his platinum cards, and I reckon I've wasted that because he's done his hammy and he's going to be out for a long time. So, Look, besides your Cotton and your Sobey, you're pretty much reaching down the board to pick any other shooting guard. So, yeah, I think for the rest of the season, it's pretty much a set and forget with Sobey, in my opinion.
Yeah. And just before we move on, just Izzy's jumped in the chat there and said, "G'day, legends. How are we all doing? Hope you're doing well as well, Izzy. I know that you're smashing as well this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you can keep going as well." Bernsey, did you get a chance to catch much of the action this weekend?
Yeah, I saw a bit of it. I mean, Sobey's just, what a purple patch this man is having. Like, he is looking so good. Sema looking really good. I mean, they lost the Wildcats, but, last week they dropped 124 in such an entertaining game. They did it again this week. They are entertaining to watch. They are the team that, honestly, you want to be watching right now, in my opinion. Them and Kings are both very entertaining teams, and they're just doing a lot of right things. But yeah, it really shows how sharp I think the community is as well with their knowledge as well regarding like fantasy sports. Just because I had Sobey in all my competitions, I had Lopez in all my competitions. I felt like I was really ahead in a lot of places, and as I said, I messed up those power forwards, and that one stuff up put me a mile behind everyone because everyone's they're really on it right now. So huge shout out to just everyone that's playing this game because they're smashing it.
And that's something really important that you bring up. And so personally, I went double Cairns at the power forwards, double Hawks at the centers, and across all the comps. And it's like you're banking on both them scoring well, but like with McGee and Froling, and then with Wardenberg and McVeigh, one of the two was a letdown in both the matchups. And so even if you did play John Brown, even if you did play the Wardenberg, it's tough because it feels like you're losing so much ground, but really it's probably really hard to nail down all 10 players. So I wouldn't be as hard on yourself as you are, Bernsey, there. Looking at some of the other games as well across the round, I was really impressed with the Breakers. So Boz, you can probably talk a little bit on it, but the way they just got demolished in the first game, and you thought, oh no, it's over at halftime. It's not even just the Breakers boys that are struggling. Kendrick Davis is basically not in the game because it's such a blowout for the most part. And then the way the Breakers bounced back, PJC, my boy Karim Lopez, he's come good. He looks like a superstar in the NBL. He looks incredible. What did you make of the Breakers, Boz? And is there anything that we can take moving forward as to what, are they more the team they played against the Kings, or are they more the team that played against the Hawks?
Oh, it's a tough question. It's funny because I watched the first half of that Kings game at a mate's, and it was just embarrassing. Like, seriously, it was like 41-14 at quarter time or something, and you just knew that there was no coming back from there. And then, to see him bounce back pretty much immediately against Hawks from the get-go. It wasn't like they let the Hawks get out to a big lead. That they pretty much took the lead from the start, the Breakers, and pretty much held on. So, look, the thing with the Breakers is each week we don't know what we're going to get. And look, to be honest, in the last month and a half, they've been super consistent. They've been losing games, but it hasn't been like that 40-point blowout like Cairns were doing multiple times at the start of the year. They're losing games when they have been losing, between that 3 to 8 point mark. And they've had opportunities to win a lot of games this season. So I'd like to hope that these 40-point losses are, maybe something that we won't see for the rest of the season. But again, I wouldn't be super confident that we're going to see them win, too many more games for the rest of the season because there are so many good teams and they're in a fight for the 6th position. But the Jackies just look a little bit better at the moment. The Jackies have just gone on a 2-game win streak, and I feel like they're really stepping their game up because they know they need to get that 6th spot for that play-in.
Yeah. And that's huge that you talk about the Jackies there, the way that they bet the 36ers. Cotton was kept low, but I feel like it was more a Cotton thing than a Jackies thing. Watching that game, he couldn't get anything to fall. Like every single shot was falling short. Cheatham at the end of the game had a possession where he just tip in, miss. He was just stat padding for days at the end of the game there. But it feels like an anomaly for the 36, but it does go to show that the Jackies are for real. Even Magnay didn't have his best game. But boys, I want to give you guys a stat. You know I'm a stats man. I'm going to give you guys a set of numbers, and I want you guys to tell me what you think these numbers represent. So these are the numbers here. 13, 13, 6, 9, 6, 9, 9. What do you boys think that represents? I will say it is a stat, and it belongs to a certain player, but I won't tell you who the player or the stat column is.
Is it Cheatham on rebounds?
No, not Cheatham on rebounds. Very close to Boz's heart, I will say.
It'll be something to do with Karim Lopez. That's my guess.
The assist numbers of Andrew Andrews over the last 6 games. So his last 6 games, his assist numbers have been insane. 13, 13, 6, 9, 6, 9, 9. So 7 games. That is a safe floor. Now, he is turning the ball over a lot, but the way that he's turned around this Taipans team, along with Jack McVeigh and Sam Wardenberg, has been something beholden. I think, do you boys see Andrew Andrews being a legitimate point guard option to contend with PJC or KD, or do you think that KD and PJC should just be locked in every single week?
Oh, it's so hard. Like, betting against PJC or KD, like, what's the best case scenario? KD in a bad week gets 40 points. Like, yeah, a good week, Andrew, we can see he can get close to 70. Like, he generally is really, really good. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, this man could go for 20 and KD could put 70 on you, you know? Yeah. So I think the risk versus reward, it's probably not worth it. But I mean, if you know, you're towards the top of a table somewhere and you feel like maybe you don't have the best players and you just want to find a different angle to gain some points, it is maybe a high risk play you could take.
So what you're saying, Burns, is let someone else take the risk, sort of thing.
Probably. I probably wouldn't do it myself, but I mean, there's people with bigger cojones than me out there.
Is that where you stand as well, Boz?
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that with Wardenberg coming back, he's turned more Andrew Andrews more into a facilitator. At the start of the season, even when McVeigh went down, I think Andrew Andrews felt like he had to do it all in terms of scoring. And then with the poor field goal, you know, and then the high turnovers, the scores weren't translating. Whereas when Wardenberg came back, I think it took a bit of weight off his shoulders, and therefore it let him kind of play his natural playmaking game. And that's why we've seen these crazy amounts of assists per game. It'll be interesting to see now if Wardenberg does miss a little bit of time, does that now push Andrew Andrews back into a role where he needs to actually shoot more, score more, and therefore maybe not pass the rock as much as he would. And as we know, points, you're not getting as many GDS points as you are as getting assists. So that could really actually not deflate his score by too much, but I think we probably will see a little bit of a decrease in his production there. That's just my kind of thought pattern on that.
Yeah. And I guess just the last sort of observation that I had, I'll say, from this weekend is the way the Wildcats are running their offense. So with the injury to David Duke Jr., I think he's out for 10 to 12 weeks. KD, not the wrong KD, so Christian Doolittle and Dylan Winlow using the ball a lot more. So a lot more usage going through their hands. Henschel and you got all these blokes that are sort of more periphery, but they're going through the imports a lot more, the import forwards. And I think that should just benefit both them moving forward. Is there anything in that regard you boys want to add?
Oh, it was nice to have Winlow back. I mean, I didn't personally play him because I hadn't checked on his actual recovery, but obviously he came back and absolutely went bananas. It's so good to have back a competent small forward because that is probably the line we struggle in the most.
Yeah. Buzz?
Yeah, I actually watched this game. I'll preface by saying gamble responsibly, but a friend of mine asked me to make up a little multi for him as he thinks I'm the NBL expert, and we're watching that game intently. Shout out Benny Henschel, who put a 3-ball in the hoop with 1 second to go to get that multi up for my friend. But watching that game, it was just good to see Doolittle take it back over. There's been a couple of weeks there where he's been a bit flat. shot wasn't falling, not really confident. He's really gotten back to that level where he's the man on that team. I firmly believe that if they're going to go far in the competition, he has to be the main guy. He put John Brown on his ass. He crossed him up, hit a dagger, and just literally pointed at him, just screamed at him from down the court. Went on to miss 2 free throws, and then John Brown obviously said a few things back to him. But for me, what it shows is when they haven't got a traditional point guard, it just goes and falls back onto Doolittle, and I love that because Doolittle is one of my favorite players to watch and one of my favorite power forwards to continually play. And I think he was a big reason, along with Windler, why my contender score was so good this week, because I kind of put their gold and silver cards into my team and played some bronze other players. But Doolittle's back, I think.
Yeah. And until we sort of get information about whether they'll sign a replacement import, I know that Sydney have gone with Torrey Craig as their import, and for the 36ers, I had the name off the top of my head and now I forgot it. So they've gone ahead and made John Jenkins their sign-in there. So wonder what the ramification will be there. But if Perth don't make any moves, I think roll Doolittle, roll Windler, and go forward from there. Boys, is there anything else you want to add from any of these games that I missed or that we missed across the board?
The only thing I will add is Cairns getting a 2-0 in this week, Melbourne United with an 0-2. Oof. Don't see that too often.
There we go. And we got Coach Stephen chiming in. Afternoon, lads. Looking forward to some carnage this week. He's a sucker for carnage. Look, I think it's that time of the season where we always get the carnage, but hopefully we can dodge as much of it as possible. And we can see the ladder here. As you're mentioning, Boz, it's probably more relevant to the teams that are probably in that 5th to 7th spot as the season winds down as to who will probably play with the most intensity. You'd imagine the 36ers are pretty much locked into the top spot. The Phoenix with Josh King should be coach of the year, is basically looking in pretty good with the Kings there. The United have just fallen off a cliff. And then you've got Wildcats, Jackies. You could even say United. Can the Breakers make a very late push into the play-in? We'll wait and see there. But I think the other teams, like a player like Tyrell Harrison, what's the point of playing him if you're Brisbane? I just don't see much point there in really playing as a really good player like that. Is there any other takeaways from the ladder, as you boys can see?
I think it's definitely affecting McGee. It looks like he's on the back foot right now because Hawk season is obviously done. So, he's one person that we relied on all season. And I feel like you must take a step back from him now, especially with Froling returning as well. Yeah. I think he would be the most impacted player looking at the ladder. Yeah,
I think McGee actually came off the bench in the second half of their last game, which is, I think, a little bit interesting. I think they're wanting to get Froling as he's the Australian kind of best player on their team. I think they want to kind of get him rolling to enter next season because who knows if McGee will re-sign. And then I think on terms of Harrison, I think I saw Pleb on Twitter kind of comment. I don't think he expects Harrison back at all. He's got a long concussion history. Happened last year. He got concussed this similar time of year and didn't play for the rest of the year. So wouldn't be surprised if Harrison doesn't play for a long time. I think that's what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, that's disappointing news there. I mean, the Bullets don't have much going for them at the moment, and just having a team that's competitive. I mean, it affects the matchup integrity as well. But if you're playing the Bullets, they're no longer a soft matchup because the game could be over at halftime and your players are on the bench for the rest of the game. You don't want that sort of thing. And it's good that you brought up the McGee point because with the double center lineup, especially in the SEM game, you got into the last minutes of the fourth quarter and you couldn't get McGee back out there because Phoenix weren't even running the center, let alone 2. So it's quite hard to get McGee and Froling. There's not too many matchups, I'd say, looking across the league. Maybe the Jack Jumpers with Bannon and Magnay there, but there's not too many matchups where you would comfortably say that McGee and Froling is matchup suitable. So something to monitor, and I guess it might make McGee more so than Froling the one to consider as to do we fade them for another type, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think it makes it super interesting though, just in the sense that obviously we've been relying on McGee and Harrison quite heavily in those center spots. All of a sudden, if we're taking those out of the contention, gets real interesting as to who we're going to be playing there. I do think McGee is still going to be an option just because of I don't want to say the quality of the other centers, but just the ability that they have to actually earn fantasy points.
Yeah. All right, we'll start going through the point guards then, boys, because I think for the most part of this season, PJC and Kendrick Davis. I know Kendrick Day, KD had a rough patch to start the season, but now he's well and truly the go. Even with Daly back in, Davis still looks perfectly fine. Is there worlds where you would play a Walker, a QJ Peterson, an Andrew Andrews? We talked about him before, but is there a world where you would go away from the top two unless you're really chasing points?
I don't think you're ever going away from PJC. But as you said, unless you're really chasing points, you're probably not going away from KD, who, yes, he had not the greatest weekend overall, but he's been in really good form heading up to that. So I wouldn't want to bet against him, unless it's like a really specific matchup, something like JJ's sort of thing, who are a very defensive team, low scoring team, a team that can actually stop someone. And then you've got, someone like, let's say QJ Peterson going into like Cans or something like that, where you've got like a really favorable matchup versus a really poor matchup. That's the only time I guess I'd consider it.
Yeah. Sweet. Boz?
Yeah, not going to add too much more to that. Vern's nailed it. So, yeah, they're your two locks. And I guess in a world where, let's say, for example, and it's very out there, but Milton Doyle gets injured, Shea Ely's already out, and there's pretty much no other ball handler in Melbourne, and they're going to rely on Tyson Walker, well, then obviously you could have a stab in the dark because he has put up some nice ceiling scores, but no, I don't think you're going to do that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where with Walker, I don't know how you predict when he's going to have a spike score. Like the games where I suggest that he might, like Illy's been out, Goulding's been out, Walker doesn't do it, but then he just puts up a random 70, and he's like, well, how am I meant to predict this sort of thing? And similar QJ Peterson, like he's got a really high ceiling, but again, it's like you just don't even know if he's going to start some games, and then he's coming off the bench. Like he scored 65 on the weekend, but the last time he had 60 was in round 12, so that's 6 rounds ago. Like it's a tough one there. So I think unless you've really got the kahunas to go for an Andrew Andrews type, the other two, I'm just like, you're really just going left field. It could work, but it's hard. Another one that's not listed is Owen Foxwell. Your boy, Vernsey. Foxy looked amazing. I think he was in the first game where he put up scores similar to Sobe, even though he didn't score as much. But he's really filled out his game. He might even go to college next year.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously nuts in game one. I mean, 124 points scored. Not all of them are done by Sobe. I mean, close to, but not. Foxwell and Glover also put on a show in that game. They were both lightning from outside and just tore Hawks apart. I actually ran Silver Foxwell in my classic squad, which I've been trying to dip into a bit of, so it's pretty handy.
Very nice, mate.
Don't forget DJ Mitchell, Vern. Shout him out. He went nuts as well.
Oh, he did as well, actually, which is... Yeah, I mean, to be fair, nearly all of them did. If you stepped on the court in that game, you just went bonkers. It was crazy.
I forgot DJ Mitchell existed for a good minute because he was... wasn't he on the red list with Josh King at the start of the season? Like he was just riding the bench, but then he's just come good the last couple of weeks. So there we go. Here's a legend of the community as well. Mel's Misfits. Hey lads. Hey Mel's. Hope everything's going well. And yeah, hopefully NBL's treating you well as well. All right, let's jump it over to the shooting guards then, because if we had this question posed to us a couple of weeks ago when we probably did our last potty, we would have said Cotton and Hickey all the way. But then Hickey got put to the bench. Cotton's doing his thing, but he didn't have a good game. But you're not really going away from Bryce, regardless of the Cotton variety, that is. Sobe's stepped up, which is good. It's not like we lost one and we don't have any other alternatives. Sobe stepped into the Hickey void. At this point in time, boys, Cotton and Sobe, are you looking elsewhere, like into a Hamilton type? JFL's injured at the moment. Is there anyone else that you can think of?
Nah, there's like Milton Doyle, but he's so yin and yang, like he'll just turnovers galore and not score. And no, Sobe, my lesson's been learned the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And with Sobe as well, Sobe and Cotton are pretty matchup proof. It really comes down to the only person that can stop them is them. If they're shooting there's no one that could stop them. We know Sobe loves to pull up from quarter court if he's open and he's on a heater. But Cotton will just if he's on, there's literally no
Yeah.
way to stop him.
Nah,
Impossible.
no way.
So, you can't bet against him because even in hard matchups, they could still do really, really well.
Yeah. And a hard matchup is probably coming his way this week with the Phoenix. So it's going to be a pretty good game, actually. 36 is Phoenix, top of the table clash. Like, it might just be a brawl at the end of this game, honestly. You can imagine John Brown getting into fisticuffs with Cheatham at some point. We got TC quadruple B here. Maldonado says, now this is an interesting one because now the problem is that if you play Hunter Maldonado in your comp, you're going to get 0 points because he's not a Brisbane player in GDS, even though he should be. But his last 2 games, he's gone 51 and 68. Yeah, so if you're on another team, you can't get the points unless he's on the team that he's meant to be on. So you can't play Maldonado, right? And so hopefully the GDS boys can update that. But fingers crossed we get another option. You always want to back up.
Yeah, I mean, I was personally pretty upset Phoenix let him go. I really liked him as a player, and I understand that obviously, there's things behind the scene, and maybe he wasn't happy. Maybe obviously they weren't like I don't know exactly what it was, but I was upset he was gone, and I was really glad Brisbane did pick him up. And to see what he's done at Brisbane so far, like it just makes me feel happy because I feel like he was a good player that didn't get to show it with the Phoenix that have their system that they sort of run. And then in Brisbane he's been absolutely electric. So I've loved it.
Boz, anything else you want to add on the shooting guards, mate?
No, happy to move on.
Happy to move on. All right, we're going on to the centers then. Now, this is going to be a much discussed line, I reckon, because I don't know it's like the Stephen Bradbury. Who's going to come out of here as the Stephen Bradbury when all the centers ahead of them fall over? JaVale's average has gone down about a couple of points, or about 5 points, I think. Recently, Harrison's injured, concussion. Hopefully he comes back, but at the same time, you don't want to risk it for his long-term health. Magnay's look good, but again with Magnay, you're like, he looks awesome, and he should be scoring, and he's in good form, and then he just drops 20. And you're like, well, that's awkward. Menenga is consistent, but he's not as flashy as the other ones. And Luala Chul has just not been a player that you really have wanted to start. Like, if we have a look at his last sort of couple of scores with the base card, this is last 6 games, 19, 24, 35, 41, 33, 18. Like, they're not scores that really stand out as such. Whereas I think a Menenga is someone that you could probably bank on getting you to that at least to a 35. His last sort of 6 scores have been 60, 24, 27, 23, 14, 32. So even then, I just lied completely and said he's a good pick when he's scoring 14s out here for us, lads. What are we doing here? Who are we playing?
I feel like when it comes to the second center position, let's be honest, we're still going to put McGee in our teams, I think. And look, fair play to those that kind of pivot against him. But until I see McGee literally playing 10 minutes a game, or until I see Illawarra come out and say that his contract's been terminated, like, he's still got to play him if he's getting at least 20 minutes because he can do enough. But that second spot, you can probably go for a little bit of upside. Now, when we look at the GDS scoring, I guess assists, steals, and blocks are our premiums, and even obviously offensive rebounds. I feel like Will Magnay, if we're comparing JLA, Menenga, and Magnay is the one that comes to mind when we think about blocks in particular, and maybe even offensive rebounds. Like, we know that JLA doesn't rebound well for the big. Menenga does, but I just don't think he gets the defensive stats as much as Magnay. I mean, look, they're literally averaging, well, to be honest, if you look at their averages and you look at the whole season, you're probably going to say that Menenga's had a better season. But when we look at the actual GDS score, Magnay's actually averaging a touch more, just because I think he has that ceiling in him. So for me, if we're picking out of these 3, I do like Magnay, because I just think on any given game, he can get you a steal and 3 blocks and a couple of O boards. Whereas the other 2 are quite consistent in what they do, but they get their points from avenues that aren't as kind of rich in value what we do in GDS.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up blocks as well, because that's the real killer for Menenga. We look at that blocks category we can see here, and Will Magnay 41, JLA 39, McGee 44, and then Menenga 10. Like, that's the real killer for him. Obviously, he makes up for it with the 3-point shot, but that's only one extra point, really. You get one extra point for hitting a 3 plus the 3 points, so 4 in total. But the blocks, you get 5 for those. It's huge to be down in those. But yeah, centers are so hard to pick. The problem with Magne, Menenga, and JLA is they could all go sub 20 any week. So I think that's why you do probably back in McGee, as I don't think he's done that yet. And as much as he's definitely not as good right now, and it doesn't feel good running him, I think he's just probably still a bit safer than the rest. And then it's really a flip of a coin. JLA's form has been awful. Menenga, not great. And Magne is the one who's been in a bit more form as of recent, as to why he's kind of come from the shadows. Because a few weeks ago, we wouldn't have even had him on this list. I believe Humphrey was the 5th player. And all of a sudden, Will Magne is up to 3rd. So he's really obviously come to form a bit while the others have stepped back. So if we want to ride the hot hand, I guess Magne's the way to go.
Yeah. And just to add to your point, Vernsey there. So McGee's gone below 30 twice this year. He did go under 20 this week, but it was sort of cushioned with the 42 he scored in the first game. Yep. I think that the other one we should probably bring up here is Froling, obviously. Like you talked about, Boz, beforehand, that they want to run more through him. And his scores this year have been 31, 46, 40, 41, 14. So not really shooting the lights out. He's been consistent, at least, but I think both of the Hawks centers looked awful in that game, so it might just be write-off. If you're saying that until McGee's been wheeled out in a wheelchair or taken out through a wheelchair, I think we should back him in just because we know what he can do. But if we're going trend-wise, it may be the end of McGee sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah, one other thing I will bring up as well is we do have JLA versus McGee, and the 2 times these guys have played in the season, JLA and McGee have both gone massive on each other. Like, they've both gone huge on each other. I don't know why exactly. I don't know if it just revs them up the competition, but it might be a week to maybe punt JLA. I think I will myself because of his history against McGee so far. And as I said, I don't know, maybe that's play style or just the fire that's in him, but just random, I guess, fun fact there. He's been really good the 2 times they've matched up.
What about this, Vernsey? What if it's the fact that they don't defend? McGee is a defensive liability out there.
Could be that.
He looks very good, and I would love for McGee to come back in. But I don't think he actually fits the way the NBL is going in terms of, like, if he played for Josh King would not put him on the floor.
He would have been gone by week 3. No doubt. But it was actually the reason I actually backed in Menenga this week going into McGee. I mean, he doesn't defend the 3-point line. I think the first time they played, Menenga torched him from the 3-point line when breakers ran over them. But unfortunately, couldn't do it for us this week.
That's all good. All right, lads, but let's go in then to talk about the power forwards. So, again, it's almost like survival of the fittest at this point. So, Xavier Cooks has still got a bit banged up. Mel's is there, even in a wheelchair. I'm back in McGee. Look, I don't blame you, Mel's. Honestly, let's go. But, yeah, just back to Cooks there. He's not healthy at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be back for the round. Wardenberg, again, ankle. He had his ankle in an ice bucket. And when I was watching the game, these are the things. This is very, like, noir. This is very just observing. But he didn't even stand up when the boys came in for a timeout. I think that Wardenberg may have a stint on the sidelines there, given his injury history. But that makes the number 1 player on this list, Jack McVeigh. He feels like a lock. And if I was a person looking into this week, without looking at any matchup data, I think that I would want to play McVeigh and Doolittle based on the circumstances of Perth. Do you differ in that view there, boys?
No, I like that a lot, and I think both of those are very winnable games for both those teams. Obviously, Cairns in some hot form against New Zealand, and then Perth Illawarra. So I think it's always good to try and back in what you think could be a competitive or winning matchup. So I like both of those.
And Mel's has just said there, McVeigh is back, baby. I'll give you some stats to back that up as well, Mel. So the big thing that I've seen with McVeigh over the last couple of weeks is, if we take it back a couple of weeks ago, he was only having about 3 rebounds, maybe 2 or 3 assists. But the last couple of weeks, he's gone 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and this week 6 rebounds, 6 assists. So he's getting it done in those peripheral columns as well, and he's also getting a steal, a block in there. So he's really increased the floor a little bit, which we didn't see in about the 3 weeks preceding that, probably since he had the baby, to be fair. But now he's back with the vengeance. And Coach Stevens here said the Doolittle stinks at home this year. And it might go for Perth as a whole in terms of Perth being a road warrior team. But have we seen many circumstances where Doolittle's been that number one ball handler? I think that's what really spurs me on as a pick. What do you think, Boz and Verns, about Doolittle at home?
Yeah, I definitely I mean, it's the truth though. Perth, they seem to, every time I watch them in Perth, they seem to lose or they seem to blow a big lead. But I think at the moment where the team is at, having to win games, this round is being played in Perth. They're going to have a massive crowd there at their game. It's on the Friday night, perfect. Or even the Thursday night. Junior's out. This screams Doolittle. It screams Doolittle actually putting more assists. He's been really consistent with his scoring and rebounding still over the last couple of weeks, but I think now we can add some more kind of assists because Ben Henschel, starts and Jack Pepper starts as well. Elijah Pepper. Yeah. But yeah, I just feel like Doolittle is the one that runs that offense, and he's the one that's going to take them forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, love that, mate. Bernsey, anything else to add on the power forwards? Any sort of pods that you may have or anything like that?
Oh, no, I really don't. I mean, obviously Bannon's someone that we sometimes consider, but consistency-wise, it's hard to go past any guy in the top 5 here. I mean, obviously the ones that are playing, of course, McVeigh, Doolittle, and then Brown's been a bit of a yo-yo too, so hard to say there.
Yeah. That's all good, mate. All right, let's go on then to the small forward position because, again, this is a hotly contested position. I think it's a race of 3 now. And I think the race of 3 is actually closer than it looks between 1, 2, and 3. So Cheatham, Windler, and Lopez, for me, stand out because you've seen, we talked about with Lopez now taking that next leap. He looks like an NBA player. Windler with Cheatham looks like perhaps not the 1B, but at least the 2 option there. And Cheatham is good. But if he's coming up against Southeast Melbourne this week, whereas Windler's coming up against the Hawks, who look pretty off, and Lopez and the Breakers are coming up against the Taipans, which 2 of these 3 do you feel, boys, are the way you'd go? Or which way do you think is the safest way to go?
I think this is one of those ones where you're locking in Cheatham. He's just a step above the rest of the cut.
Yeah.
And then looking the next 3 down, I think Windler, it's hard to say. Windler, when he's been good, has been really good. Just every now and again, he throws out these random 14s. Then again, you could say the same for the exact other 2. Lopez can drop a 60, but can also drop it at 15. And then Wes Andu actually came back this week with a really good score. We had that purple patch where he was really good for 3-4 weeks straight, and then he kind of dropped off 3 weeks, and then he came back again this week. So I think this is the hardest one to predict because these players are all the biggest yo-yo players. These are all the guys can go 15 or 60, and you just don't know, unfortunately, when they're going to do it.
Buzz? Well, I like proven guys. I've always said this, and Cheatham and Windler for me, just those proven guys that. And to be honest, Windler has let me down a couple of times when I've kind of spoken highly of him, but I just feel safer playing those 2 guys just because of how low we see sometimes Lopez's floor. I wonder it was such a nice option when Malik Lewis and Foxwell were out injured, but now that Sam have got a bit of a healthier roster, they're sharing minutes, and it's not unless Awundu is kind of not missing a shot like the other night against Perth. He generally was not missing, that they roll with him. But, all it takes is for him to miss his first 5 shots, and then Josh King might ride a Malik Lewis a little bit longer. Yeah. So for me, I do like Cheatham and Windler, but I can't knock anyone if they're thinking to go a little bit potty and try and get a bit of a ceiling score from a Lopez or an Awundu.
Yeah. And it's great you brought up that point about the ceiling because I think that's what Lopez does provide. If we have a look at his last set of games, for instance, he's got the 62 and the 54, but every other game in his basically last 8 have been below 30. And so you're going for that ceiling. And a player else that I just want to bring up that's not on this graphic is Jalen Galloway. So he's got, in this round alone, 49 and 51. And perhaps it's a product of Sydney playing better. He's still coming off the bench. But I've just really enjoyed watching Galloway. He just feels like a player that can get you a safe set of stocks with the steals and the blocks. But I still think Cheatham and Windler or Lopez and /or Lopez is the way to go. But you could slide with a Galloway as well.
I do think, unfortunately, Galloway isn't their preferred option right now. I think his good scores are a product of Sydney being good enough to smash some teams. I mean, they won by 40 against New Zealand, and that's when Galloway got the take over that game at the end sort of thing. You know, that's when he came in for the burn minutes and he just crushed everyone. Unfortunately, the Galloway we saw when we had the Asia Cup isn't quite the Galloway we've gotten in the NBL this year, which is a bit disappointing. But he's not starting for them. They've got Malawatch ahead of him. They've got Robertson ahead of him, sort of thing. Sydney kind of have a bit of a weird lineup, but it's really working for them. I think the Sydney players are hungry for those minutes, and they're just working really well. Obviously, Cook's being out too does help with that minute spread, so that's potentially a factor. But yeah, I don't think Galloway is their preferred option. Who are they going into this week? They're versing Bullets this week, actually, so they could pump them by 50 plus. So might be the option, actually.
Well, as we said before, if the Kings get out to a 30-point lead, we might see a bit more Galloway than we were originally expecting. That's for sure. But let's head on over into the fixture then, because there are some matchups, and we'll start with the question that we got in the Discord, actually. So the question was, any matchups to be conscious of avoiding with the singles? So I guess how we're going to run this, boys, is I'm going to ask for one lock, one pod, and one fade. But we'll start off with the fade. So in terms of matchups you're looking to avoid, players you're looking to avoid, who is your biggest fade off the games from this round?
I reckon we're all going to be on the same here, so I'm going to chime in before everyone steals it. But it's definitely United and JJ's. That's going to be a
the
game.
Whole game.
Honestly, yeah, it's gonna be so defense heavy. It's gonna be like a 75 to 80 score line, and there's just not going to be money fantasy points out there for anyone. They're also teams that they're pretty deep as well, so they spread their fantasy points. I'm not touching that game at all.
Cool. Boz, do you have a player or team that you would look to avoid?
I was looking towards that game, and I was just trying to think of who are we kind of selecting. I know we just pumped him up a little bit, and I did say that he has the highest ceiling, but it would be like a Magnay. So if you were really tossing up between your center position, second player, and you're a bit confused. I mean, he could have a big defensive masterclass, but you're looking at a low-scoring game that potentially Magnay goes really low in, because I'd assume that your Bryce Hamiltons, your David Johnson, maybe even your Josh Bannons, they're the ones that are going to be offensively powering the Jackies. And then I don't know if there's going to be enough kind of missed shots for Magnay to kind of get his offensive rebounds to salvage a score, to be honest. So, yeah, it would be probably a Magnay I'd fade.
Yeah. That's interesting that you can say Magnay, because I was going to have him as my pod, but I guess he's not necessarily pod. I'll say a different pod, but in terms of the fade for this week, I think that the play that I would this is not the right way to put it, because I don't think he's a fade, but I think it's a consideration. And that was going to be Silent Cheatham, in terms of a player that instead of locking him straight away, you've seen a couple of times of Windler and Lopez now. Windler's got the matchup against the Hawks as a favorable matchup. Lopez has the matchup against the Taipans, the favorable matchup. I don't think the Sem matchup is a favorable matchup, even though they foul a lot. And a lot of Cheatham's points have either come from assists directly to Cotton or from rebounds. He's not really a scorer. And the way Sem hustle on the boards, yes, they do foul a lot, makes me think that maybe Cheatham won't have the 50 in him this week. But thinking back on in retrospect, even at 35 at the small forward position is probably fine.
Good enough, yeah.
But yeah, just to put that thought into people's minds, that I don't think that Cheatham is as lock as he has been in other weeks when everyone has a single. But
yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, obviously, it's all about perspective as well. It's like 35 is good enough, in a week where all the other small forwards drop 30 points. Yeah, that's fine. But as you said, there is potential for Lopez and Windler to go 60, and that means 35 isn't good enough. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'll give my pod that I was going to mention, and I think that's going to be Sam Menenga. If you're looking for a center option, playing the Taipans, we know how much Marcus Lee fouls. We know how much the Taipans have struggled on the boards. Menenga could be an option there as another center option that he hasn't been consistent in the past, but playing it in an important game for the Breakers. Really, they need to win every single game from here out, and they got a plus matchup here. I think that he could be a player that you could get some points up on. Vanzi, what is your pod play before we talk about locks?
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the Menenga one. Oh, it is super hard to pick a pod, I feel. Gosh, I hadn't really thought about this beforehand, but I guess my pod play, because you guys kind of hyped up the other power forwards before, it's going to be John Brown. Just in the sense that you don't know which weeks he's going to go big. Like, I've got to be honest, you don't know. And I think in a 36ers matchup, it's going to be an offensive masterclass from both ends. Yeah. It's going to be another 110 plus scoring game. And if he can just get involved in that defensive end, get those defensive stats up, that's where he could get a bit of a leg up on the others. So
sweet there, mate. And Buzz, who's your sort of pod this week?
Geez, there's not many pods I wouldn't have thought in GDS, but and this is like if kind of things translate the way they are. If Xavier Cooks is still out, because I think Daly will miss because he got concussed as well. I just see there being enough opportunity for Jalen Galloway to put up another kind of 50 score. And I think that's partly the reason why he's been doing so well, because Cooks has been out. So if that kind of follows, he'd still probably be your fourth option at the small forward. But I think Jalen Galloway could put up another half-decent game if those two miss.
Yeah. Can I change mine? I love that. Can we go like Noy as well? Like, I love what Noy's been doing as well for Sydney. He's been starting for them. He's still been coming in as the sixth man, but he's obviously the offensive powerhouse for them and really active in the boards, which Sanaki hasn't historically done. He's usually just a scorer. So he's a power forward though, so it does make it hard to contest with that Doolittle, Jack McVeigh sort of thing. So a bit of a harder one there. But as we mentioned, I could see the Kings flogging bullets here, and you could go for any of these random Kings and get rewarded.
It could be the play. It could be the play. Well, let's talk about locks then. And we'll give it to you, Boz. You haven't gone first yet. Who is your sort of biggest lock? There are some locks, but let's go. Who is a player that you're really confident on this week?
I'm going to stay in the Kings game and do Kendrick Davis, because I just feel like he turned his season around when Daly missed games at the start, and Daly should be missing this game, I think, because he did. I think he got concussed. I saw something on Twitter about it.
Yeah, he's been assessed for the head knock, so not sure if he's out yet, but he might miss. Yeah,
I feel like Daly being a bit of age and Sydney playing so well, I think they would hold him out. So if that's the case, I feel like, and I know it's the Bullets, but I do feel like in 20 minutes, that's enough for KD to go monster. So I'm going to back him in. Yeah,
that's good vibes. I like that. Well, Boz, just get on the phone to Brian Gorge and say, even if it's a 50-point game, just keep him out there, mate. Come on.
Oh, I wish. If only.
Vanzi, who's your biggest lock for the week, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to hit you with JLA. I talked about it before. I think the matchup into McGee, I think the center spot's a hard one to nail, and he shows up with fire, usually into McGee, plus it being obviously like the Wildcats, Indigenous round sort of thing where everyone's over at Perth. So I'm going to back in JLA to be the surprise for the centers and come out with a massive one.
I like that, Vanzi. I do like that. I want to have as much belief in JLA as you do, but I've been bitten so many times by that man that it's like he's got to show something. Mel's believes that KD might turn up this week. We would love that. But the only thing is, I feel like everyone would have him, so we'll come down to what variety you have off him at this point. But alas, I think my lock for this week obviously got the common names like Cotton and PJC. I'm going to say that Jack McVeigh, even he's probably too obvious, but last time he played the Breaks, he scored 47 points, not GDS points, points. So if he has that, Wardenberg's out. He probably has to take on more load. The Breakers will want to win. This is going to be I feel like the Taipans Breakers game might be the most fan to GDS relevant game. Like, where both teams, well, maybe 36 is Sem as well. Like, both teams have scorers. But Taipans Breakers might be a close second in terms of players from that team that have relevance. And then Wildcats with the Hawks, you got the two centers there, but Hick is not really relevant anymore. QJ Peterson, you're not really trusting in week in, week out. Whereas the United Jackies game is just like, you guys just go and have your fight in your own little corner. Like, let the big boys fight over elsewhere. So is there anything else you boys want to add in terms of a player that we missed or anything like that?
I think we covered it pretty well.
Sweet. Well, we're not done yet because we do have our reward packs from last week. Vernsy's been collecting them like Pokemon cards. So, Vernsy, do you want to go first with ripping open your reward packs, mate?
Yeah. I'll share my screen for this.
I will let you do that. If you guys have pulled your packs yet, let us know in the comments who was the best player that you pulled in your reward packs for this round. He's got 7 1 players and a 3-player common pack.
Yeah, I totally forgot about opening packs. Ooh, is it going to be a platinum?
You got platinum.
Yes,
you got a platinum. Oh, I thought that was cotton. I can't even see. I can't read.
Oh, that's okay. It was close. It was close.
That's right. That's right. Good spirits.
That's all right. Plenty of packs to go. We got this. What have we got here?
Ooh,
okay, that's a duplicate, but that's okay.
Oh, if only. That's right. You're building out a good classic squad here, Vernsy.
Oh yeah. Oh, another platinum.
Another platinum.
That's out of nowhere.
Oh, he's getting the hospital award.
Oh no, that's so unfortunate.
Oh.
That would have been such a good pack in reality.
Just so who's he getting this pack?
Oh,
there's a diamond.
Oh, I've never seen the diamond animation.
Oh, Rakosovic.
That's not bad. Not bad. Oh, we're getting some fun here though. I'm liking how much sparkles we're getting out of this.
Come on.
Hey,
this guy.
Oh,
this is a diamond as well. Oh no,
another plat. I'm surprised. I haven't gotten many plats at all on them.
Jesse Edwards. At least he plays, but at least he plays.
That one I'll probably throw in the classic. Yeah.
Yeah, chuck it in the classic. You know, Vernsy, one day you'll win this, mate. You just chuck all the cards. There's a good Henschel.
Yeah, that's future. That's future. All right, let's see if the luck transitions over to a 3-player pack.
Come on,
nah,
then.
not quite, but that's okay.
That's right.
It's all about the
Gold
players at the end of the day.
That's it, isn't it?
Harvey.
Oh, Admiral Schofield. Now, question, boys, how is he still in the league? Like,
just
he has to be the worst import in the league. He has to be the worst import in the league. All right, Boz. He's been really bad. Bozzy, over to you, mate.
All right. So let me just get my packs up. Let me share the screen. There we go.
Got it.
I only have a 1-player common and a 3-player common from this week. So see if I can get some Burns luck. Not to be the start, doesn't look like.
Nick Rakosovic, that's handy.
It's a
Krebs.
Come on,
I like Krebs as a future option. Once Gordon's gone, he'll be good next season.
Yeah, if Gordon ever retires. Silver, gold. All right, so we'll go from left to right. No, thank you. No, thank you. And not bad. He's going to play now because Harrison's out.
Minutes.
Yeah.
But don't think I'll be playing him anytime soon.
That is all good. Well, let me go ahead and open my packs as well. Oh, will this work? There you go. All right, let me go over to the store. Oh, packs. Again, refresh this. Sorry about that.
I just bought. No.
All right, let's go into these common packs then. So, look, give me some of the Vern's luck. No, that's right. Let's see. We've got silvers across the board. Mojave King again. Don't know who that is. Oh, geez, that might be one of the all-time worsts out there.
Yeah.
That's right. Free packs. You can't complain at the end of the day. It looks like Vernsy's taking all the pack luck. That's right. So we'll give it to Vernsey. Oh, I didn't even get it. Oh, there's my boy.
Oh,
there's my
nice,
boy.
nice.
Karim Lopez, Johnny Narkle, and Chris Goulding. Would have been handy 10 years ago, but we'll make do with that. Well, guys, Favolution's in here. Legends, thank you very much, mate. Well, I'd say that was a success. DR's going to be back on next week, so just in the host chair for this week. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Good luck for this round with Hoops Fest. If anyone's going, enjoy yourself, take it easy. Cheer for your GDS players. I remember when I went to Gather Round, I cheered for Samson Ryan in the AFL because I had him in Supercoach. So if there's players that you're cheering for, give them an extra rev up, especially JLA for Vernsey, because I think he needs it. But guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, Boz Verns, for your time. And we'll see you guys next week as we head into the countdown or the runway into the end of the NBL season. Cheers, guys.
Peace.